Hi guys, this is Tundi from the TBK Podcast. I'm here joined by David, and we are going to be discussing the Gervonta Davis and Barrios fight. So let's get straight into it. David, what are your thoughts on the fight?
My thoughts on the fight are that overall, it was very slow from Tank. I think because it was quite slow from Tank, the Barrios was sort of lulled into a false sense of security. You know, let's not take away from the fact that he put up a very decent shot. You know, he kind of earned my respect after this fight because he's not one of the stellar names at 140s, you know, and he had WBA regular title, which though is a recognized belt, is still not necessarily a super title or one of the ones that most people kind of readily identify when they say, yeah, this guy's the champion. But with that said,
Happy Shopper title.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I'm going to go as far as calling it Happy Shopper title, but I get it. It's not what we're going to be talking about when we're talking about making you an undisputed champ, or you know,
it's the sort of belt you give to your toddler.
You know, what, like you pick out one that you pick out of the cereal box, yeah?
Yeah. One of those ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it's unfortunately it's recognized. It's not as readily recognized as we want it to be, but at the same time, the guy had a belt and he was there with an undefeated record. Do you know what I mean? To be honest with you, Tank showed when it was time to put his foot on the gas that he was another level to Barrios, and not just that, but both times he stepped it up, he knocked the guy down twice. And the shots, man, the first shot, the last shot, two of the best knockdowns I've seen in a while in terms of just knockdowns as opposed to knocking someone clean out, because his uppercut against Santa Cruz is still a thing of just beauty. Yeah. It's something that we can eulogize about for as long as we please. You know what I mean? But he put up a slow performance. But what he showed that I liked a lot was patience. His IQ, when he's ready to go through the gears, he can do that. And when he feels like he's ready, also he can stop the fight, because, like I said, he stepped up the fight. He stepped it up twice, and both times he scored knockdowns. That leaping right hook, the stepping right hook for the first knockdown, absolute peach of a shot, punch perfect shot, and the uppercut to the solar in the 11th round was just one of the best body shots I've seen. Period. And now I think it's time, even though this guy was a decent opponent, I think it's time for Tank to actually start mixing it with the genuine elite. You know, he's in amongst 4 or 5, if you include Shakur Stevenson, of the best young crop of fighters there's been in literally a generation. And for a long time to come, I think we can see some absolutely amazing fights between these guys throughout the weights. And you know what I really want from him is now to show that he's genuinely a great and can become a great.
Yeah, because
he's got every attribute you need. He seems like he's found his foot in terms of getting the discipline back, so that he's weighing in at the right weights and stuff and whatnot. He's not missing weight no more like he was before. And I just think that there is a bright future ahead of this boy, because he can go all the way, man.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. I mean, I felt the thing with Tank that's understated is his intelligence.
Yeah.
And his skill level, because his skill level is high, but most people don't necessarily see it because of the explosive power that he carries in both hands.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's gone up, 2 weight classes?
Yeah.
He's gone up 2 weight classes, and he's absolutely bodied Barrios. He's bodied him. Like, so he knocked him down 3 times?
4 in the end.
4.
Yeah.
Right? So he knocked him down twice in the 8th, which was, he was all over the place. You know, he's intelligent enough to negate the height and reach advantage that Barrios had, and Barrios did well. It's not like he was overawed or just completely dominated. I mean, he presented some problems to Davis, and like he was just popping at that jab and just really making things very, very awkward. But Davis was just patient, and he displayed like just really good discipline. I think from sort of like round 4, 5, 6, he was taking the jab away from Barrios, and at the same time he was walking him down, right?
Yeah,
and he was using his left. He's using his left hand, like I think in the 6th, I think he clipped him a couple times with his left.
Yeah.
Flush, right?
But credit to Barrios though, because
no, I credit him. Yeah.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, I felt like he was getting rounds. Tank started from me. I think Tank started really slow, and whilst he was doing that, Barrios was hitting him with scoring punches.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I gave him a good few rounds, and what I like, it seems as though when it was needed, Floyd used a little bit of kidology.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, that was masterful from Floyd. I was some genius. Just to give Tank a pep talk in the corner to say, look, you're behind it.
But I genuinely think at that moment in time, the potential was there for him to have been behind, for real.
Yeah.
I had him down at that point.
I didn't.
I actually had him down at that point, and I felt that what all Floyd did was give him the news, and he gave him the news that he needed, you know. And the next thing we saw was again that switch through the gears, his IQ, because it was now a case of, okay, you know what, I know what I'm up against. Let me put my nose in front by showing this guy what he's up against.
I mean, and that's a quality that very few fighters have, where they're able to just step it up and literally put the brakes on a fighter. And he did that. Every time he stepped it up, that was it. And we saw what happened in the 11th. And the thing is, I rate Barrios in that to the end, he was still fighting. And I think he's put himself in the shop window still.
Oh, 100%. Because if you look at his heart, although it limited but still ability, it posed Tank a few more problems than we're used to seeing him try to deal with. I think it literally showed that really he can mix it at 140. I mean, I don't know if I'd necessarily put him in with the likes of the Ramirez's or Hooker's fighting at 147 now, but the Prograis and those kind of guys. But I still I do think he'd give them guys a pretty good test, the same way he gave Tank one.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Okay, so who would you like to see Tank fight next at 140?
Well, if he stays at 140, based on the way PBC just seems to do things, I guess really Prograis is the next guy that I could see him going in with, and I do think that would be a good fight as well, to see how much his power would affect a solid world level 140 fighter.
Okay.
Although, to be fair, I'm not sure if you've seen it. No, actually, before I even say that, who would you like to see him fight at 140?
No, the same, Prograis. I
Okay.
think that will be a very good gauge as to what Tank can do at 140. I think he beats Prograis, to be honest.
Yeah, again, I mean, people have been beating Josh Taylor, and if they do, not to do the triangle theory thing, but if they do, then I guess it stands to reason that he beats Prograis in most people's estimation as well. Only thing is, though, I don't know if it's kidology or trying to get a big fight, but Prograis is on smoke.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? Have you seen what he said?
No. What about who? Tank?
Oh yeah, he said
What
he
did
wants
he say
his
about
name.
Tank?
Oh yeah, he told Tank to keep his name out his mouth because otherwise he'll beat him up. He said it straight. Keep my name out of your mouth, man, because I ain't nobody else, dog. I'll beat you up. That's what he said. I won't go into the rest because we can't be sure if we've got families listening.
Yeah,
but
I want to see that fight. I want to see that fight because Prograis isn't having it. He's not having it from anyone. He's got mouth. So
yeah, he's got mouth. And the thing is, you know what? But the thing is, he's got mouth. But as you saw in the Josh Taylor fight, he might have mouth, and he has got heart. But a lot of it a lot of it's front. Do you know what I mean? A lot of it's kidology. Not saying he's afraid, but you know, he kind of half got punked out a little bit by Josh Taylor. Then he got beaten up by him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And the potential is that he knows screaming the right thing at this point will get him that fight, because even though it should be a really a big fight financially for him, I don't think the Tank fight is well, it actually did, when I think about it, it actually is probably the biggest fight from 140. Because he's already had the other one, which was Josh Taylor.
Yeah. That'll be a big payday for him.
Yeah, so, right. So I guess, making the noises that he's making, that will garner interest in the fight. And that I think it has the potential to be a really good fight.
Yeah.
No, actually, it will be a really good fight, but I think it can be a really big fight.
Okay. Let me ask you this. So, providing that Tank stays at 140, how far do you think he can go?
I'm hearing people talking about him beating Josh Taylor. And I literally think if he stays at 140, he'll only need probably 1 or 2 more fights before he challenges Taylor, if Taylor stays at 140, because we know he's supposedly talking about fighting Terence Crawford at 147. I think the problems that Josh Taylor would present Tank, it'll be interesting to see him deal with them, because again, he will, with his IQ and his outright talent, he can negate the Taylor problem. But let's be straight about this, it is a problem.
Yeah.
It is a problem. What he faced on Saturday night is nothing in comparison to what he'd face if he was fighting Josh Taylor. And I think, he's got the potential to go all the way. If Taylor does relinquish his belts to go to 147, then I think without a doubt he can become one of the super champions at 140 and potentially undisputed. Yeah, but then when I think about what it takes, I mean, Tank's never been dropped. Neither has Josh Taylor. So if they were to fight, the question is then, can either one drop each other? Because we saw Taylor land an absolute bomb on Ramirez and literally sap the fight and the strength out of him with that uppercut. I think really, again, we've never seen anybody that can bang at 135 or 140 that Tank's fought. Even though he's only had one fight at 140, mind you, but Taylor's shown that he can bang at 140, because Ramirez is a solid 140 fighter, and he's knocked people over, and he was put down by 2 beautiful shots, world-class punches from Josh Taylor. Again, go on.
No, do you think that, because for me, maybe I'm wrong, but Josh Taylor he's probably one of the most talented fighters that I've seen in the last 10 years or so. But with him, it's because he gets hit. He gets hit a lot. Uh-huh. He's been known to lose it a couple of times and just go for a scrap. Yeah, uh-huh. And he's got power, but it's more cumulative.
Yeah.
How would that stack up against Tank?
Oh, Tank ain't got cumulative power, man. He's got one punch knockout power.
This is what I'm saying.
So you know what? Like, if that were to happen, he needs to make sure that cumulative power damn well tells, because if not, boy, we know at any given moment his lights are going to be switched off. And I genuinely believe that his skill set, as well as that cumulative effect of punches, will genuinely be Tank's biggest test if they were to meet. Because again, we are only speculating. But like I mentioned before, knowing that both of them have never been put over and they both have a tendency to get hit, Tank's probably got a bit of a better defense. But I think if Tank's power carries as it seems to have against Barrios, if his power carries the same way against Taylor, I don't think Taylor can throw caution to the wind and just have a scrap.
He can't.
Yeah, I don't think he could. I don't think he would
have to keep it long. Like, you'd have to keep it long the entire fight. There's no way. He cannot afford to get into a scrap with Tank, and he has to keep him at bay with his jab. He will have to. There's no other choice.
Yeah, but the thing is, I think he can keep it long. Again, though, the thing I like about Tank is the downloading of the data, the way he seems to unlock opportunities, the way he seems to unlock situations and then use them to his advantage. Yeah,
the way that he can just literally get in and out quick, like,
you know, as you've alluded to, not even alluded to, you said it outright in the Lomachenko podcast. He's an anomaly. He's got heavyweight numbers. It doesn't matter. Like, he negates size and distance like it's nothing. As good as Lomachenko did on Saturday, to be fair. But on top of that, what he has that Lomachenko doesn't have or hasn't displayed is that one punch knockout power.
Yeah.
Again, against a stellar opponent like Josh Taylor, it'll be interesting to see him pull that out, because, you know, let's have it right, he's got a couple of good names on his record, very good names, but still there is room for going up a gear, especially if he stays at 140. There's definitely room for going up a gear. And even if he goes back down to 135, we hope, we pray that this other side of the street talk just dissipates, man. We hope it just goes, it evaporates and never comes back again, because We're missing out on some great fights here as boxing.
Nah, there's some good eating at 135, man.
Yeah, there's certainly
very good eating there.
There certainly is. I mean, we've got reasons to stay awake all night. We've got reasons to catch flights at 135. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Trust me. I would love to see him go back to 135. Like, take it to because there's some, like as you said earlier, there's some extremely talented fighters in that division. They literally lit up that division, to be honest. I think 135 is like the new welterweight, to be honest.
Yeah, it is, but let's hope that the same thing that we've got at welterweight doesn't happen, and that is we're not seeing the fights that we want. I mean, it took a while to finally get the Mayweather-Pac fight, but at least we got it. At least we got it. Do you know what I mean? Now, though, it's like, yeah, PBC have got literally, they've got a lot of the welterweights, and it's just like, they're all fighting each other, but really, man, come on, we need to see everything happen because there are some really good fights to happen at that weight.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing at 135. I mean, each one of the young lions is with a separate promoter. That in itself causes a problem. Because we really don't know if we're going to get to see them fight. And we need it, man. We need it. Like, literally, the boxing world is salivating at the prospect of seeing these guys go up against each other for years to come.
Yeah. You know, if the promoters have any sense, then they know that obviously that is going to lead to some big fights, a lot of interest, ultimately big paydays for the fighters. So our fingers crossed we get those fights.
Well, the promoters have got the sense, man, and what they've also got in equal measure, or probably too much of, is damn pride.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because it doesn't make sense. You see that these guys are the best guys. Let's have the best fights, man. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like the politics of boxing right about now is souring the atmosphere. Like, it's really muddying the waters, something chronic. And I don't want, because these guys, they can miss out on some huge paydays off of things staying where they are, off of, like, you know, the promoters not negotiating with each other properly. Well, they negotiate with each other, but it seems like they don't negotiate with each other at championship level. And this is the kind of thing we need to stop, because there's a lot of cross-promotional stuff that happens. It's like when it comes time to do it for the big chips, everyone starts talking like it's impossible to do when we know that they've done it before. And
that's the problem. I'm just hoping that with the Zone and Matchroom, that some of these fighters start looking across and start thinking, let me kind of move over there. But that's another topic for another discussion.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
So we had a great fight. You know, we were in agreement that Tank did his thing, and you know, hopefully we get to see him, you know, possibly fight at 140 again with Prograis, or alternatively go back down to 135 and get involved in some massive fights there. But guys, this is Tundi and David from the TBK Podcast, and we're out.
And this is the TBK Podcast.